Let's get it. Today we're going to talk about diversifying your cryptocurrency portfolio. You've probably heard that diversifying your portfolio is important from any investment standpoint, but how do you do that with cryptocurrency specifically? We are going to be taking a quick look at how you could diversify your portfolio within the crypto space, so let's go. What is up, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Cabin. My name is Tom, and in today's video we're going to be talking about diversifying your crypto portfolio. If you're new to the channel, please scroll on down, leave this video a thumbs up, and then hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you get notified for when I post these new videos. We are going to talk about, like I said, diversifying your crypto portfolio. So you've probably heard from any investment person ever that you need to diversify your portfolio. I'm also a big advocate of diversifying your assets as well. So that means also having maybe some real estate, some in the stock market, some in collectibles, some in some precious metals, stuff like that, and obviously some in cryptocurrency. But even within those asset classes, I do think it is important to try to diversify your portfolio as best you can so that you are shielded from downside risk in any specific sector. From there, obviously, it is up to you to make your own decisions. This is not financial advice. Anything that I say here is purely for entertainment purposes and my personal opinion. So with that being said, let's jump in. One of the easiest ways that I think you can do this is to simply go to somewhere like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and you are going to have a categories section where you can take a look at all the different categories that there are in the cryptocurrency space. So you can already see across the top there are a bunch of things that like DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse, and then you've got separate layer 1 solutions like Polkadot, Binance, Solana, and Avalanche, where they have their own ecosystems, so to speak. So if any one of those ecosystems were to pump, then likely the coins within that ecosystem that are doing something important would pump as well. So here we can see all of the different categories when you scroll down. So you definitely do not, in my personal opinion, need to have one thing from each category, for example. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But I do think it is important to take a look at where the trends are going and then pick a couple projects from each category, depending on the size of your portfolio as well. The size of your portfolio, in my opinion, is going to depend on how many coins you have. So if you have a smaller portfolio, typically you would want to have fewer projects. If you have a higher valued portfolio, then you could look at adding more projects. So when we take a look at these categories, we know that a couple are absolutely popping off. We know the Metaverse is going crazy. So if I were you or myself personally, I have definitely taken a couple positions in some of these Metaverse tokens. So there are obviously lots of plays in here that you could take a look at. Axie Infinity has pumped. Not saying that it's necessarily the best time to get in there. I do think Decentraland and the Sandbox are going to be two huge players in the Metaverse space for a long period of time. Perhaps they're a little overvalued right now at this specific point in time with all the hype around the Metaverse. With all the pumps that they've had recently, but long term I do think they are going to be good. So those would be maybe ones that I would dollar cost average into. The rest of these down here, again, take a look, because I know there's lots of really good games that are in here. We've got people talking about Blocktopia, Illuvium, UFO gaming, and we scroll down, I've heard really great things about Wilder World, Star Atlas. You can keep on going down here and the list goes on and on, but this is a category that I do think is important to have some form of allocation into this space for sure. The next category that I think is very important is NFTs. So you'll see a lot of similar projects in here, but a couple big ones. I talked about this one a little while ago. I do think Immutable X is going to be very, very good. I've got that one starred. And then Engine Coin is another big one. Gala's had a big tear recently. And then scrolling on down, there are a lot of other ones as well, of course. But this is another space where I do think it is important to have a couple projects from, if you can, again, like I said, depending on how big your portfolio is. The third category is going to be DeFi. So this is obviously potentially under massive regulation. but I do think that DeFi is here to stay. And I've got a few projects from the DeFi space right now that I'm potentially looking to shift over because I think I'm too heavily weighted in DeFi right now. For example, I've got Uniswap, Chainlink, Aave, Basic Attention Token. This is also part of Web3 right now as well, which I'll get to next. But I do have quite a few projects in the DeFi space, which I would be looking to probably move out from me personally, just because I have, I think, too much value in DeFi at this point in time if I'm going to stay nice and balanced like I talked about. So this is another important one to take a look at. There are a lot of really great projects in here. Like you've got 1inch, you've got UMA Synthetics. I think those are good. I think Ocean Protocol is good. There are so many. Ren, I've talked about before. SushiSwap, Compound, Maker. There's a lot of really good projects in here. Aave, PancakeSwap, The Graph. I do think that these are going to definitely continue to do very well. A lot of these already have. But again, just another category to look at. So obviously these three are big, like I talked about: DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse. And then the next one that I want to talk about is actually Web3. So I want to go find that. Here we go. So Web3, you'll hear everybody start to talk about it. But these are, again, some big projects that are going to play a big part in the future of Web3. So a lot of these do overlap. Obviously, you'll recognize a few of the top ones here. But Helium is a big one. Audius is going to be a big one. I talked about Orchid a long time ago on TikTok, thinking that is going to have a very good run. iOS is like a decentralized version of YouTube, and then moving on down here, there are a ton of gems down here that I do think are going to perform very well. I know Numbers Protocol is, I believe, going to be very, very good. So is Parsec. DIA, I've looked, or Dia, I've looked into, I held for a while, had it go up on a big run, and then moved on to something else. But basically, if Web 1 was just data stored on the internet, and then Web 2 is now like the Facebooks and the Instagrams and like the storage of data, basically they own the data. Before it was just data on the internet, nobody really owned it. Now it's like Facebook and Instagram, Google, they all own this data. Web 3 is now going to be giving the ownership back to the people, more or less, if I can sum that up in simplest terms anyway. So again, those are kind of the four main categories that I would say are going to be important to have a exposure to if you can. And then layer one solutions as well, like maybe having some Polkadot, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Avalanche, Cardano, Elrond, a bunch of different layer ones, but having exposure to those categories. So I guess that's 5. So we've got DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse, layer ones, and then Web3. And as always, I do think it is important to still have some Bitcoin and some Ethereum in your portfolio. Ethereum obviously plays a huge role in the Metaverse. A lot of projects are built on Ethereum that are in the Metaverse. NFTs, same thing. So many projects are built on Ethereum. DeFi is mainly run on Ethereum, or the bulk of it is run on Ethereum. So by having Ethereum, you are actually exposing yourself to a lot of those sectors as well. And then Bitcoin is still the king of cryptocurrency when it comes to that. So I do still think every portfolio should have at least a little bit of Bitcoin, weighted more heavily Bitcoin and Ethereum wise in bear markets, in my opinion. And then as bull runs go on, shifting some of those profits and some of that allocation into some of these other projects like DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse, Web3, layer ones, like I've talked about here in today's video. So right now, personally, as I've talked about before, I am primarily out of Bitcoin and Ethereum. I have a little bit, but I am mainly in these other sectors and will be looking to shift a little bit around to balance it as well as I can. We did have a huge surge through the Metaverse, so I'm not saying that it's going to, stall out completely. We definitely could keep going up there, and long term I do think it will continue to grow. But the hype around the Metaverse, the initial hype anyway may have subsided at least for a little bit. And I do think the next big wave coming in here is going to be wave 3. We kind of had a DeFi phase, then an NFT phase, then a Metaverse phase, and now we could be going into a Web3 phase, and then it'll be interesting to see what kind of rotates back in. So that is it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and if you got some value out of this video, please scroll on down, leave a thumbs up like I said, and then hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 1,000 before the end of the year, and if we do that, that would be so greatly appreciated. As always, I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you next time on the next episode from the Crypto Cabin.